Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things dating, relationships, men, women, communicating with the opposite sex, and we like to integrate brain differences, hormonal differences, biology, evolutionary history, spirituality, values, all of that fun stuff. If all of that stuff sounds interesting to you, well, you found the right channel. In today's video, we're talking about things that men wish women knew about them. Okay, so the first thing that men want women to know is that men don't really care about your accomplishments. They care more about how you make them feel and who you are. Now, this unfortunately has to keep being repeated because we have come to a world where women are more independent than ever before. Women are outnumbering men graduating from college and earning degrees, and they're actually out-earning them financially. So, women are naturally inclined to talk all about their accomplishments and the things that they've succeeded and their job positions and all of their stuff going on in the corporate world. And that is not appealing to the male psyche. And it's not that they aren't proud of you or want to see you fail in your corporate aspirations, but just that women tend to put a lot of pressure on a man for his accomplishments because men have always been the providers and protectors of our societies. And so we women tend to care a lot about those kinds of things, but it's not the same for men and what they care about. Men would rather get a taste of your feminine energy and your authenticity and who you are vulnerably, and if you're a woman who is truly deeply connected to her heart, rather than all the A, B, and C accomplishments that you've made throughout your career and throughout your life, or how many cars you have bought. And there is another side of this too, because okay, this doesn't feel very authentic. This feels better to me. There's another side of this too, because just because you may not be leading with, oh yeah, I bought this, and this, and own this house and this car, just because you don't go in bragging about your accomplishments, you might still be subtly leading with your job, and you're talking all about what you do for work, and you get into this deep conversation with them that ends up being 30 minutes to an hour long about your job and what you do at your job and how it's stressing you out, right? And this is not he might very well engage in the conversation for a while, but this is, if you want him to actually have an attraction for you, then this is not what you want to lead with or, talk all about, especially in the initial stages of speaking to a man. Okay, because when you start talking all about your job responsibilities and what you do day in and day out, you're stripping the opportunity from him of actually learning more about who you are, and you're taking the focus off of who you are as a feminine woman, and putting more of the attention and energy into what you do in your job or what you do for a living, right? Because if you're speaking to him with this dense, stressful, heavy energy, then he's not going to feel very at peace in your presence. And that's something that's very alluring to masculine energy. When you can bring peace to his chaos. Okay, so you have to be the one that's radiating this sense of calm and this sense of tranquility when you are speaking to him, and your energy says it all, because nonverbal communication is the oldest and number one form of communication. So we like hard work ethic and ambition in men, but if you're taking the front seat in your ambition and hard work ethic, then that gives no room for him. Okay, so as Dr. Pat Allen says, leave your balls at the door. And there are some nuances to this, and I actually have a whole video on my channel about how to talk about your work in a more feminine and subtle way. But just as a general overall rule, detach yourself from the identity of what you do at work or putting all of your identity in your career, and allow the other energy of who you are as a feminine woman and vulnerably sharing yourself, allow that to lead you. Okay, number 2, men love compliments too. Now, it is women who have this very strong need or stronger need to feel desired by masculine energy men. But when a man has a deep emotional connection to a woman, they have a need to feel desired and be complimented by her too. So that can include compliments for what they do, how they dress, what they look like, who they are. Men want to know too that the woman that they love desires them affectionately and physically. And I am not talking about a guy who has not even earned the rights to that yet, or talking about embracing your sexuality to a guy who has literally no rights to that, okay? That's not what we're talking about here. But obviously, for a man that is very significant to you, you're married or you're getting married, someone who has earned the rights to your affection, they want to hear the compliments for when they choose the right outfit for the night, or the desire that she has for him too. Honestly, the harder that he works for you, the easier it'll be to compliment him. I digress. Okay, number 3, men need alone time. Testosterone is the providing and protecting hormone and expends most of its energy during the day and needs a recharge towards the end of the day. So because that energy is so potently used towards sacrificing and providing and protecting outside of the home, they want to have time alone too for hobbies and friends and recharging and doing things that they're interested in and having their man time and being in their man cave, and even getting involved in side projects without the constant responsibility of family and, wife and children and all the things that needs to be fixed in the home. Too much connection for men coincidentally causes them to be more estrogen dependent, and in turn just really depolarizes the relationship to the wife and family. So they need to take that time out on their own to, delve into their own side projects and hustles and hobbies and things of that nature, and just really take that time alone to develop themselves, develop new skills for themselves. And listen to me, I have witnessed this so closely with some women in my family, and their partner had basically nothing going on for themselves outside of their work and home life. And it caused a lot of friction in the relationship because the guy ended up becoming so needy and dependent on the connection and, being all up in her bubble. And it's just a huge turnoff to women. So anyways, he needs alone time and a time of recharging and rebuilding his testosterone, just as she can go off and do her own thing and involve herself in new hobbies or learning new skills. Okay, because sometimes guys need to just be surrounded by other male energy and hanging out with the guy friends outside of relying on the feminine energy that's all in the home. Okay, because it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you, for those of you who are insecure in that area, just because he wants to step outside and hang out with, the guy friends and do manly things. Ladies, you just have to stop being insecure about that, okay? Next, men love to show you off. It's true what they say. Men love to show you off as their prize in the male hierarchy and mating game. You ladies are a direct reflection of him, and honestly, his best asset, his best accessory to showing off what it is that he is able to provide. So that's why I always will continue to preach to the ladies to take care of yourself and groom yourself regularly and dress nicely and dress classy. And because you're not only representing you, but if you have a man, you are also representing him. And men want to be able to show you off in the best way that is possible. No, it does not mean that you need to carry a Chanel bag or wear Bottega earrings. It just means that you need to present yourself as a classy woman who carries herself confidently and carries herself with poise. So try to always remain on your A game when you are around your family and friends and communities, because you are, like I said, a direct reflection of him. And also be sure not to carry relationship baggage into those kinds of environments and events and friendly situations, because the things that are happening intimately between the two of you, or maybe relationship things that you're dealing with, problems, it doesn't need to be blasted out to all the people in your life that you know, because that again is a reflection of the two of you, and he wants to show you off. He wants to look good, just in the same way that you probably want to look good too. So keep those intimate details between the two of you and not 10 of you. I was in a restaurant the other day, and it was mostly guys and gals in their 20s and a lot of ladies with their man. And I was honestly really appalled to see how many of these girls were just dressed so down and raggedy in their wardrobe choices, sitting across from their dates. And this is not what I want to see. I want to see more women dressing well, dressing more classy, dressing more elevated. And you don't even have to spend a lot of money in order to get that look. And truly, the argument I always hear is, oh, well, it's more comfortable to dress in athletic wear and, sleepwear looking clothes. And that is definitely not the truth. Dresses are way more comfortable than some high-waisted tight pants or gym leggings. And I was just honestly appalled at the way that they were dressing, and also the way that they were sitting across from their date and scrolling through their social media the entire time. Babes, this is not a good look. And when you're present with him, you need to be present and not worried about what's going on in your friends' lives on Facebook or on Instagram, or posting the most Instagram-worthy photo. This generation has lost so much connection and self-preservation, and this is what I'm talking about. Taking care of yourself, presenting yourself in a high manner, so that way you are reflecting him in the best way possible, and he wants to be able to show you off. I can't even tell you how many men actually truly value when a woman actually dresses in a more elevated and classy sense. They really truly value that, and always point it out. I hear it so often, and it's one of the best compliments that I receive, just because it's so lost. They value it so much more because it's so far gone. So please get rid of all the clothes that aren't elevating your style or aren't elevating you energetically, because your man will appreciate that, even if he doesn't even realize it yet. I mean, do you really think that wearing a raggedy, baggy t-shirt and some gym shorts is that appropriate when you're on a nice dinner date? No. Maybe if you're going to like McDonald's or Taco Bell, maybe. But it's just not appropriate for certain dining date settings. Here's what you need to activate and switch on. Be that girl that when someone comes into your presence and in your energy, they feel convicted to up-level and elevate themselves in your presence. They almost kind of question, like, whoa, who is this girl? Is she someone important? Think of it as if you were meeting the Queen of England, okay? When you get in the presence of the Queen of England, because you know that she's on this high pedestal, you would automatically want to show up in her presence up-leveled, right? You would want to present yourself with the most poise and class and composure. You wouldn't show up around her dressed like you're going to the gym. So be that girl that when people come into your presence, they suddenly want to up level and elevate themselves. You put off this expensive, luxurious kind of presence and energy that has absolutely nothing to do with the price tag of your earrings or the price tag on your handbag. Okay, now that is who you want to show up as around him. So then he feels very proud to have you on his side. He feels very proud that you're his prize and he's attached himself to you. Another thing that men wish women knew about them is that breakups are harder for men than you might think. The truth is that men don't have the same emotional outlets and support systems that women do. And yes, some of this is because of societal pressures and conditioning, but also through the male brain circuitry and how they're wired. They've been wired by God himself and throughout all of human history to show stoicism and remain untouched by emotional situations, even in tumultuous times. And I know society tends to see this as an inherently bad thing, you know, what it's projected to be on the media as this suppression of men. But it's not a bad thing, and it's actually a beautiful thing to honor and be proud of. It's actually a powerful difference that actually brings us closer to our counterparts. So just because you might be dealing with heartache and going through a tough breakup and wallowing in it and self-pitying and self-grieving, which are all things that are okay and normal human emotions to go through, doesn't mean that he's not wallowing in it himself. They are definitely still very affected by women who leave them, and actually I would argue sometimes even greater than what the woman goes through. It's just that estrogen causes us to feel a lot more and feel those feelings and then move on. Estrogen is the emotional hormone which causes us to have more connection to our bodies, intuitions, and feelings. But men can become very deeply affected, even sometimes for a longer period, by women that they are emotionally connected to, spiritually connected to, invested in financially. And sometimes they have a much harder time getting through that process of healing. And that's a lot of the reason why men are more prone to having these, you know, all these addictions that you see so rampant in our culture today of pornography, alcoholism. Men are much more prone to alcoholism because of this reason. And absolutely, these are more unhealthy ways that they manage through and manifest their emotional things. But it's something that they are more prone to because of that. See, men have a tougher time with when relationships don't work out for them, because if they are truly invested in her, because they have to invest more into a relationship than the woman does. Our emotions just come so easily and naturally to us. But when a man invests not only his finances and making sure that the woman he has vowed his life to is taken care of financially, but he's also investing emotionally into her, and that becomes his safe space for his emotions to, you know, lay and rest his emotions down with her. So that's why they're always very choosy and picky about who they commit their life to. So when things fall apart for them in their relationships and keeping their family units together, they carry a lot of that baggage of feeling like a failure as a man, as a head of household, as a provider, as a protector. They take on a lot of the blame for that. And it's just kind of wired into their DNA, which actually brings me to the next thing that men wish women knew, and that is men need to feel safe with you too. So in the realm of masculine and feminine energies, the common knowledge is that women need to feel ultimately very, very safe with a man in order to express her fullness of her femininity. And that is very, very true on a deep biological level. But men need to feel safe with women as well, but in a different way. Surely men don't have a need for you to fight the tigers or pull out a gun and protect when someone tries to break into the home, but rather a safe space for him to rest his head and share his vulnerable heart and things that he's going through with the context of emotional strength rather than emotional weakness, without those emotions and things and vulnerabilities being used against him. You know, really having that sense of safety where those emotions are not going to be used against him, or they're not going to be spread to his friends, or they're not going to be spread and blasted all over social media, since that's a thing now, but rather kept in a safe space intimately between you and him. Okay, are you following me along here? Because when men want to share things with you that they don't particularly feel comfortable with sharing to just anyone, that means he sees you as a safe space to land and rest those more vulnerable things or things that he's dealt with in the past. Again, not talking about trauma dumping or emotional weaknesses, but he sees you as that safe space to hold the weight of his vulnerable heart and opening up his heart. And so that's something that you don't want to shame, but instead rejoice in the fact that you are that comfortable space for him. You know, it's always so enlightening for me personally to hear when a guy tells me that I feel very comfortable and that they can share things with me. And I'll never forget the times that men share things with me that are a little bit harder for them to pull out of themselves. And I just rejoice in it. And I just hold that so tightly and so close and dearly to my heart, that I could never even think about shaming them for it, or, you know, spewing hateful words back at it, even if it's something that I don't particularly want to hear. I'm just instead, you know, like, thank you for sharing that with me. You know, I'm sure that was really tough for you, but thank you for sharing it. And it just draws you so much closer to them. So men want you to know that you need to provide that safe space for them to actually open up their heart and share more vulnerable, deep things with you. And how and what is the first step to reaching that point? You have to open up and share your heart. You have to be more vulnerable. You have to become more emotionally available to him. And a healthy man will be able to receive that and fully relish in that, okay? I'm not talking about an unhealthy man. I'm talking about a healthy man who can actually hold the weight of yours, and then he'll feel more safe to rest his with you. Okay, now this is getting long, so I'm going to cut it off and stop talking. I could go on and on. If you guys have any specific questions or certain relationship situations that you need more insight on, you can either send me a DM or an email, which will be listed down below, and I'm more than happy to help you, and I get back to every single one of your comments, questions, and emails. Ladies, if you are wanting to invest in your dating experiences, I do have a dating course called the Feminine Dating Course, and it has over 7 hours of content in there to help guide you through your dating experiences. And this is solely focused on you and focused on being the best version of yourself as a feminine woman, and less focused on scoring a man, okay? Getting a man is what is the byproduct of becoming a feminine woman, but that's not always the end goal, okay? You do this kind of work for yourself, regardless of the outcome, okay? So anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.